my God. Oh, hello, Pat. How you doing? Pat's waiting for us. Morning, morning, morning. Or no, it's not morning. What time is it? You're in the UK, right?
Yeah, it's nighttime here. Like
Nighttime.
we're
Okay. Oh, okay. Where are you?
not morning.
Not morning.
No, definitely not morning.
Do you go by Chatty or do you go by Charlotte?
No, so officially my name is Charlotte, but on BookTube I'm Chatty. I like being called Chatty.
Chatty.
Cool.
Okay, there you go.
It's like I've got like multiple personalities. I quite like it.
There you go. Yeah. Well, everyone, I am Courtney with Channel Tangible Reads, and this is Chatty with Chatty the Mad Chatterer. And we are here to discuss Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. So we're excited. This little tiny little book packs a big punch. We'll get into a little bit about maybe the second book, but we're not going to spoil the third one because Miss Chatty hasn't read it yet and we don't want to spoil it. Okay. So we're going to keep it general. Say that again.
Or half of the second. I'm still midway.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So we'll be exactly. We'll just be in general, but we're going to discuss this by Dr. Nnedi Okorafor. Well, as you know, I am Channel Tangible Reads because we're on my channel and I read a little bit of everything. As of the last few months and most of this year, I'm going to be focusing on like horror books, sci-fi, fantasy. I do have a penchant more for Black authors, but I read a little bit of everything. So stay tuned to my channel for tons of fun stuff. And Chatty, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello. So first of all, Courtney, I'm just going to give you full permission. If you need to mute me, go ahead, because I don't always know when to stop. So, but yeah, I tend to read fantasy is kind of the big thing that I read. I like to read a mixture of age ranges. But I'm excited to be reading sci-fi. This was a lot of fun.
Gotta love sci-fi. You do a lot of fantasy books. You have a lot of pretty, beautiful books. That's one of the things I love about watching your channel. Pretty colorful ones.
Book porn.
Yeah, but it's really cool though to see all the pretty books that I'm probably never going to buy because I don't try to buy a lot of books.
Whereas I find it hard to part from them. Like it's like, oh.
Yeah, don't get rid of them. You're okay.
No,
You're okay. No. Well, thank you very much.
All shelves.
There you go. And let's see. And 11 p.m. in the UK. Are y'all in the same time zone, right?
Okay, what up, Pat? It's nice to see you doing.
There you go. Okay, so in general, if y'all are not aware, so my little synopsis about Binti is I think she's like a 16-year-old girl.
She's 16, yeah.
Say it again?
Yeah, she is 16, which is quite shocking.
Yeah, she's very young. But she is in I guess, a futuristic African environment, lots of tech. They center on math. And she is from a small village that generally stays contained within itself. And she decided to expand her mind and apply to a prestigious Uzma University, which is in the stars, in space somewhere. I take this to be kind of like the Harvard, I guess, of the way, I don't know. And so she goes to this, gets accepted to this university against, her family and her friends' wishes. They wanted to stay where she's at. And so she is traveling in the first book, aborted when the ship is attacked by this race of people called the Medusa. I keep trying to call it Medusa. And then
Medusa.
Exactly, yes. And so she brokered some sort of peace deal amongst them. And in the end, she gets to Uzma University and she makes a little friend with the Medusa, and he gets I keep calling it it. I keep saying Aqua is a he. But it's an it.
Yeah, I did that too. And I was thinking as I was in the middle of reading Binti Home, I was like, because it very much uses it as a pronoun.
Yes.
But then I was just like, why do I keep thinking Oku is male? Yes. Did it ever come up at any point? Or is this for some reason in my head, I've just assigned Okuro a gender, which I shouldn't do if Okuro is just it and is not.
Yes. I did the same thing, so you're not the only one. I keep thinking it's a male, but so if I say he, interpose it, but it's that gender neutral type thing. So I don't know if that's intentional or not in the book.
No,
But
you need to look at it again.
yes. And so she makes a friend and she goes to Uzma. And there's that with that particular book. And then in Binti Home, which is the second book, she travels back home. Oh, I'm not going to do spoilers. You said you read half. So in the second one, she travels home back to her tribe, Osimba, or her Yimba people. There's so many different names. And she goes home and, there's some chaos because she brings awkward back home. So there we go. Okay. So what did you think of Binti? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me say hi in the chat. I don't want to
say hi in the chat. How's it all going?
Hello, Mayama. Mayama, by the way, was reading this as well. How far did you get into the books, Mayama? She was on book, I think, 2 when I spoke to her earlier.
Oh, I think everyone's probably ahead of me then. Like I managed book 1, which was the deal we signed up for. I tried to do 2 and got halfway.
Well, I got blessed with, I had time and I had an audiobook for the book 2. So I listened to that while I was doing some other stuff. Yeah, audiobook definitely helps. I got all of these from my library. I had the full physical copy of 1 and I had 3. And when we originally talked, I planned to just read book 1 and 3. And then when we talked about it, I know that was my plan. I'm just being real and honest. I planned to do 1 and 2 and just fill in the gaps in my imagination with book 2. So, but then I realized that I had access to the audiobook for book 2, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna cheat, Chatty. So let me do the
2. Don't spoil it for yourself. Go, what are you doing?
So, but I got through them all. I actually finished book 3 about 3 hours ago. So let's see. Hello, Nicole. How you doing? Good morning, morning. Are y'all? She's in Australia.
Morning, yeah. It's I'm gonna guess that it's 11 o'clock in the morning with Nicole because we're like opposites of time.
Ah, okay, PM. Okay, I didn't know that. So UK and Australia are just AM PM difference. Okay,
we're like the time twins. It's like
trying to learn something new then. Okay. And Mayama, I don't know if I remember where you're from. Where are you from? Let's see. Oh, she says she just finished book 2 and on to book 3. Okay, there we go. Well, we won't be giving you any spoilers, I hope. So that's okay. 9 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
Time.
there's more time than I thought.
Hello, Rally. Is Binti YA?
I thought it was, but apparently it's adult.
You know what? I was thinking that when I first picked it up, that it was YA. But I think it's with the killing is probably what makes it adult. But I can see that how this is YA, like how she interacts with the people at school. I get the YA component, but I think just the whole idea of the killing, I think makes it adult.
Yeah, I don't know where I got it from. Spoilers are not fine. No, don't do it to yourself.
Mayama, we are not doing any spoilers. I hope not, or not bad enough spoilers, because Chatty is halfway through the second book. So
I like to know absolutely nothing about my books. I'm like, no.
Well, if you already got through that,
I knew nothing. I knew nothing when I was going in, and that's how I like it. All I knew was that Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. Like, I just watched her reading each book and like talking about them and just like gushing, and I'm like, Afrofuturism, Olivia loves it, that's all I need. And I bought it, and it's like been sat looking at me going, when are you going to read me? When are you going to read me?
That's a cool cover. Mine doesn't have that. I like that cover.
This is all 3. This is all 3 in a bind up. Plus there is a story called Binti Sacred Fire in here as well. So it's like a little short one. It says short story, but it looks like it's the same length as Binti. So
where does that fit in? I know we got off on a tangent, but where does that one fit in, that bonus book?
Love a tangent. It actually fits in between Binti and Binti Home. But
too.
But I thought I'd just go straight on to Home and then go back and read that one another time.
So, okay, so you haven't read any of it at all. Okay, no. I wonder if that fills in time while she's at Uzma, because she gets to it at the end of book 1, and in book 2, she's already been there, what, like 6 months to a year? Yeah. So it probably fills in some gaps. So that would be interesting, but I'm not going to go back. And also, by the way, I know there's this term Afrofuturism going around, but Nnedi Okorafor, I read, actually likes the term African futurism. For some reason, she doesn't like the Afro. I think it's
I do not want to offend.
No, you're good. It's just something I read.
No, but she's Dr. Okorafor. Am I saying it correctly? I can never say Okorafor.
It sounds good to me.
Okay, cool, good. Because you've been listening to the audio, so you know pronunciation.
Well, someone told me doctor the other day, and I put DR, but I think it's PhD. So I don't want to offend her either. But, as long as I get her name right, I think we're okay. Okay.
I love your writing. I don't want to do it wrong.
All right, hello, Adrian. How are you doing? Welcome. If y'all in the chats have read this, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. So, one, what do you think of the cover?
But now, I always saw the cover. I was like, that's interesting. I have no idea what's going on. And then, within the first pages, I'm like, I get it now. Thank you.
It's her Hotizi. Yes, I think it's beautiful. I like your cover, but I will say I do like this cover better.
That is cool. Yeah.
And then, not to be a spoiler, because it's out there, this is the third.
I get that now.
Yeah, I mean, there's an explanation I think you can recognize in the book for this, but I'm not as much of a fan of this one as this one.
Yeah, no, I think there's something really powerful about this image, isn't it?
Yes. And it's just beautiful. And I mean, the woman's gorgeous too, but it's just eye-catching. So, but that's the book, and it's pretty short for any of y'all that are looking to read it if you haven't. This is the first book. I don't have the second one because it was on audio, but I think it's about the same size as this third one. So
yeah, I think it's ever so slightly smaller than that third one. So I marked out. So this is the third one in here. I can't find the beginning of this one, but I was doing a little site comparison, how much have I got to try and get through? Second. So there we go. So that's
there you go.
2. And that's 3. Oh, there's the camera. There we go.
The third one's definitely thicker. Okay.
A little bit.
PhD. Yes, PhD. I haven't read it, but I'm interested. It's really good. It's worth
a while. Sure. Absolutely worth a while.
And then it's a sci-fi book, just in general. It's a sci-fi space opera, because for the most part, the first one's set in space.
It's a realized galaxy, isn't it? It's very, the world is built, the universe is there.
Yes, it's very beautiful. It's not, how a lot of sci-fi, some of my issue with sci-fi is when they utilize all these terms that I'm just like, oh, I tend to skip over a lot of terminology in sci-fi if it's not integral, because then I get hung up on how to pronounce it and OCD kicks in, right? So, but in here, you can actually pronounce some of the words pretty good, and so it wasn't that bad. And then they reuse a lot of them over. So it's not super techie to where you can't enjoy the story. Although I will say her name, her long name, I'm like, okay, I didn't even bother. She had 8 names, and it just kept going. It was a lot. Okay, but go back to original question. What did you think of the books?
So I loved it. Obviously, I'm very excited by it. What I'm more excited about the second, though, because I feel like the first one is very much about, there's a big incident that happens, and we're there, we're present with her for this big incident. And then I feel like the second book is kind of like what happens next. It's like the fallout of everything. In a way, it's almost like there's 2 big incidents, because the beginning of the story is just that she's going to do something that no one else in her, not just her home or her community, but her whole people have never done. No one leaves the planet, who is it Himba? Is that how you pronounce it?
That's what I did. Yeah, Yimba.
Cool, Himba. No one who is Himba leaves the planet. Like, you just don't do it. So like, she's doing something that is so different, and she feels she's going to be ostracized by her family. She feels she's going to be kicked out. There's like so many people that are like, no, your duty is here. You're doing this. You're doing this. You're doing this. And she's like, no, there's something pulling her. Like, I meant to go to this prestigious uni that she got in, and she was so excited. No one else seems to like understand how important that is for her. And at 16, she's off. She goes, gets on the ship, off she goes. And then obviously we have another big incident that happens, which, you know, ends up with this almost like diplomatic mission. Now there's a huge thing resting on it, very life and death stuff going on. And then you get the fallout for that. So you've kind of got all the political connotations for all like the different tribes, but also her personal one for like going back to her family. And yeah, and I'm in the chaos of her being back with her family and all of that jazz.
Yeah, I thought it was a good, well-rounded book or books once you get through all of them to kind of see many different facets. But you were saying, I just have a few points I wrote down. So Binti is the first of her Himba people to ever get accepted to Uzma University. And it's not just getting accepted to Uzma, but just kind of leaving the community as a whole. Why did you think that was so important?
For her to leave, I felt there was just something sort of like intrinsic within her that like she could just stay and do what's expected, but she would feel trapped by that. Like, she wouldn't be living her true life and being her full self. There was something that was calling her, like she needed to know more. She can offer more and do more. Like she's kind of inherited both like her parents' talents. So like, we always hear about her mum like seeing equations, which I don't think is something I'm ever going to get. Like, I'm just like, her is like meditating. It could have been it was a different language. It was a number language. And I'm like, I'm happy for you, Binti. I'm glad you love numbers. I have no idea what's going on, but yay for you. And then like her dad kind of like there's a word, like something like the mechanical harmonizer or mastermind, harmonizer, mastermind, or something like that.
Yep.
That's it, master harmonizer, where they have this ability to kind of like understand like the tech and the astrolabes, which everyone seems to have, which I don't know, something like a better mobile phone or something is kind of what I'm getting with those.
I thought it was interesting that as far as with the Himba in general, not just her, I do think that she had a bigger plan in mind for herself. Yeah. You know how you have people that just want to reach for something more than what they have in their community. And as far as with the Himba people, they normally, I think they said they always look from within, like go within, not out, so they don't leave. So it was a big thing that she left, like almost like she was a traitor to her community that she left. But I feel like the Himba people have more to offer, her as a prime example, but more to offer. But if no one ever leaves, then the community can't really expand and grow. Yeah. So I think it's a big deal that she left, because maybe she will serve as a, role model to other people. I kind of think of that as just regular communities. Like, I come from a small town, and a lot of people don't ever really leave that small town. So when I come back, I'm kind of like that odd man out, because I kind of have a different attitude compared to other people, but I also have a more open-minded, wider view of the world than I think some of the other people in my small town. And I think of that with her, in that she'll never grow if she doesn't leave. And I think the Himba people will never really grow if no one ever leaves. So I think that it's a very symbolic that, she kind of represents a bigger picture than they do. Yeah. And then I think they were talking about, like, with the Kush, they're not, the Kush are really not, they're not feeling the Himba people. Okay. They are not, they're just like, y'all are just in the way. We're happy where you're at. Me and the Medusa, we're going to just, do whatever we do, and y'all are just collateral damage. but I feel like they're setting themselves up for that if they're not getting involved in the bigger world outside of themselves.
Yeah, and I think exactly like you said, like it's definitely going to have like a really big impact. It's almost like she is being the ambassador for the Himba people. But exactly. I think also it's not just for the Himba people's benefit. I think it's also for like the world's benefit, because no one gets to know the Himba people. Like they are very much like to themselves, and no one kind of understands you know, how the importance of the OTG. OTG, thank you. That's a much better name than I was calling it. OTG, I like the sound of that. I think I was calling it like Ojitsu or something, because I was just reading quickly.
You can just say the body paint if you want.
The OTG body paint. And just like, you know, she's already started like people are starting to like be aware of it and kind of understanding kind of what it means to her. Like that's her connection to her home, that's like her heritage. And that kind of like it's I love how it calms her. And like it's part of like her thankfulness, like, and she leaves a bit of it, like it's very kind of symbolic of like when she's when something has happened, like when the ship landed safely, and like when she was saying a thank you to something, like she wipes a bit of it off and puts it on the ground as like a thank you. So it's almost like she's sharing the love, and we then see it as like a healing property later on, don't we? It's like used as an actual physical like balm for healing. And also, I think like some of the words are coming. The philosophy of the Himba, that they are like a serving community. Like they believe that you serve your community, and like your role is to do this to help the community. Your role is to do this, and you don't think of the individual person's needs. You think of the community's needs. So I think like for other races and planets to understand the Himba people, they will kind of learn and be able to take something away from that. But if they're all hidden and closed off and no one knows about them, then the rest of the universe cannot benefit from the Himba people.
That is true. I like how you said that. Yes, that's true. They won't benefit from that. But I do like the idea that they take care of their own. But in a small community, if that's all you do, but there's a bigger world outside of that, and it's not like they live in a bubble. So while they take care of their people, you're still dealing with the oppression from the bigger world, mainly the Kush people. You're dealing with that oppression if you're only looking within, because eventually the outside world is going to come in. So that was where I was kind of afraid for them. I like the whole philosophy of, you know, we look within, we go in and not out, you know, that type thing. But I just feel like you don't live in a bubble. So it was a good concept. I just felt that it just was not sustainable in the long run, because, you know, if people come out, like I think she said that the Himba people are basically, I think, did she use the word collateral damage? Anyway, they're just kind of stuck in the middle between the Meduse and the Kush people when they decide to fight. And if it's over their property or some of them get killed or whatnot, it's oh well. And that's the way the Kush specifically say it. Oh well. It's like, oops, okay, well, you wipe enough of us out, then you have no more Himba people.
No.
So, absolutely. And then where does that leave you? So that's why I just felt like they were kind of dealing with a small-minded attitude. And so that goes back to one of the reasons why I think it was very important for specifically Binti, since she was such a progeny, to go out and, you know, become this ambassador and to expand her people, because they need to be. And you were well, I'll get to the other thing later, but okay. So Mayama was talking about the meditation and the equation. Okay, yes, I thought, okay, I'm not going to act like I understood all that. I understand something about like the whole beauty about, whether they say like there's beauty in mathematics and there's energy and then I'm not like Hidden Figures. Remember the movie where mathematics explains everything? I've kept thinking that mathematics somehow explains the universe. Okay, I just rolled with that. I'm not going to act like I understood it. But I still thought there was a beauty in it, because as somebody that loves math, I just like to solve a problem. But math has a definite answer. 1 + 1 = 2, unless you're one of those philosophical people that want to argue that concept, right? But math makes sense, which is why it's nice, because there's few other things in the world that is as concrete to me as math. So I thought there was kind of beauty in using that mathematical concept. And then how she utilized that to calm her down to meditate. 555, like that was her thing. That was really cool. I was like, okay, Nnedi, cool for PhD. I got that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well, especially because when I was going through a bad patch with depression and anxiety, the thing that calmed me down, I can't spell. So I couldn't do crosswords because I can't spell, but Sudoku really helped. So like
that's confusing.
So that I would do lots of Sudoku to kind of like stop, when you have all those thoughts going around in your head and like you just start worrying and like bigger worries. So like just doing Sudoku problems just helps to kind of like center. So it kind of felt like, much more complex version of Sudoku that she was doing. But I liked the kind of mindfulness side of it.
Yes. And then she kept talking about tree. Now, okay, I'm still confused. I read all 3 books and I'm still confused to tree. I assume tree was kind of like meditation, right? Like, is that kind of her meditation, calming, stillness? Okay. I was like, did I miss something? Because I mean, it was brought up a lot, I guess, starting in the 2nd book. And, I was cleaning and stuff. So I'm like, I must have missed something about tree. But overall, yes, I think all her meditation and doing the equation and the math, and somehow I guess that makes her a master harmonizer, because the way I took it is that numbers, like I said, are concrete. They explain things. And so they bring everything into balance. And somehow that comes with the harmonizing. I don't know. In the chat, y'all can let us know if maybe we're thinking it wrong. Let me know. But
you get the math, guys.
Exactly. Hold up. So, but Amy says, I likened it to some rare folks who visualize color when creating music. The brain is fascinating.
I like that.
I read a book. Oh my God, what was the book? There was a name for that. Somebody who visualized colors when it comes to feelings. It starts with an S. Oh my gosh, I have it written down somewhere, but synesthesia, something like that. Synesthesia.
Sounds good.
Somebody can Google it for us. I think it's synesthesia or something. But yeah, it's very calming, and I like that. And then like the whole harmonizer, it took me a minute to get that, but I guess they bring things into balance and can explain things and are really good with technology and mathematics. I just thought that to me, you're like the genius, like the project. What's the people that go to the that genius school, Mensa Society? they're the harmonizers. That's the Mensa people, the top echelons. Okay. But I thought that was cool. And then you had the as far as with tech, you had like the astrolades. That was cool. It took me a minute to get that in my head, but that's the I guess it's like a cell phone. It's a communication device, right?
Yeah.
And then oh no, somebody else says something. I thought I missed something with the tree.
Yeah. I love it.
Just think of it as calming. She kept saying I'm a tree myself. Okay, just calm. So let's just say this meditation.
Doing yoga tree pose with all these mathematical equations going on. It's like,
there you go.
So when she said she was treeing, it's like she was just constantly like streaming off different equations, and it was almost like that was her happy place. But she also kind of referred to something, and this is also what her mum can do as well, where it says she can read people's equations. So like they were sort of like, I don't know, look at people. And I suppose almost like it links to what Amy was saying about people's colors, where you can almost like sense people's like color aura or feeling aura, like they can do it, but it's like a mathematical equation. It's kind of like how they see it. So like reading the world through equations.
Okay.
And then like her dad's side is the astrolabe, the little purple.
Oh no, the Eden. The
No,
Zinneria?
that was her special one. The what is it her dad makes? And everyone's got
The
one.
astrolades, yes.
Astrolabe, sorry,
Yep.
that's it. And like that was kind of more the techie side, but obviously the maths feeds into the techie side, and like they can like they harmonize it and make that technology work. So I was kind of seeing it slightly two different things that are connected, but like her treeing was more of like just the equations that she sees.
It says
And
the
kind of
connection to the earth
meditation.
and self, very spiritual. So it could evolve with the whole mathematics in their world and how people see math. So it's that connection and everything together. So it's a spiritual. Okay. I like that. Well, there we go. See, thank you very much. But yeah, it was very beautiful, all that connection. I really did enjoy in this book the whole connection with nature. And I saw that a lot. Like you had the so in her community they had the undying tree, right? So you had the tree roots and the connection, and then her family house was the root tree, or the root, no, it's just called the root.
The root, yeah.
And so that was really cool about how, you know, it gets ingrained like in the earth, and just the whole house setup was really, really cool. And so you have kind of that nurturing aspect because trees grow. So I just felt that was really beautiful in that connection with that. And then also you had like the tree, I guess they said when you scrape stuff off the leaves and all, anyway, it has a bunch of healing properties. So not only is this tree like, you know, sustaining and housing them, but it's also healing. You had the water, which also had a lot of like digestive healing properties as well. The OTZ, just, oh my God, it kept coming up. At first I thought it was like a nuisance. And then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like just the connection with the earth that she had with it, because she constantly like put it on herself, right? But it's a connection because it's a clay from the earth. It's a mixture of clay and oil, with both come from the earth. And so she's constantly rubbing that on herself, and it's a nourishing type thing. And I kept just thinking about all these images I always see of Africans, like true Africans from Africa, that on TV you always see them with this beautiful dark skin, right? That's just beautiful, right? Like, you know, a lot of the healthy images that they show of people, but some of them have like a lot of body paint that they put on sometimes, or mud, because like the mud bath in her community. But also you see a lot of them just like with the dark skin with oiled, you know, just richness, you know. And I just kept thinking of that the whole time.
A lot of self-care, isn't it? Like it's like respecting your body and like caring for it with all of the
Yes. And I like that connection with her culture. I mean, I will say it's kind of messy. I just kept thinking this crap will get all over the place. That was in my head, but I was just thinking. Yes. But, you know, and that leads me to another part. Let me say this other one, then we're going to get back to the beginning, because I was about to be like, this book, I had to put this book down and go talk to my husband at the beginning. But I did like that connection with the OTZ to the land, and how she did not leave that part of her culture. And even though she questioned it at times, she continued to apply that. And even when she went to Uzma, you know, I guess her people used to just bathe with dirt before, but she enjoyed that modern convenience of showering, but she still always applied her OTZ, and didn't leave that behind, even though she's in a different environment, regardless of what people said. So I thought
I really loved those moments as well. Like when you had the when she was kind of talking about the fact that you've kind of got those children that kind of rebel a little bit, like so her and her friends like went and washed it all off and like saw each other without it, and that was really like taboo and quite shocking.
I know, and then, isn't it crazy? She felt like naked because people.
I know, I loved it. And then like when she was talking about when she was when she was at the university, and like she was starting to lose, because she'd only got that half a jar, hadn't she, left of it. So then she was starting to lose it, and then she was kind of talking about that she felt so self-conscious, and it was like she was naked, and then she suddenly had this huge desire, especially because she was far from home, that she really needed it back on her. It's like part of her. And I just thought that was really, I just really enjoyed all of that.
And she was resourceful because she was like, I don't have this, which I'm surprised she didn't pack more. I'm not gonna lie. But she went and found something in her new place to find it. So it's kind of like leaving something older at her old community with the Otisi and the clay and the earth there, but she found a new way to make it, but still retaining that old culture. So it's kind of like a mixture of the old and the newest. I really did like that. Hello, Kiana, how you doing? Welcome to the chat for Binti. Now, here's the part. Okay, we could probably talk this whole thing about the Otisi because it was just amazing. But the beginning of the book, I was pissed. So when she was about to get upon the transporter, right? And she encountered the Kush ladies that touched her hair and basically said they thought that it was made of shit, like the Otisi. Okay, I had two issues. For one, you're being downright disrespectful talking about her culture because you can tell it's a cultural thing and they knew it. Two, you touched her hair. Black women in our hair. Chatty, you are very woke into the minorities, I will say. I watch your blogs. You are very aware of things in the African American community. Say that again?
If you'd spoken to me a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have understood. But thank you to BookTube and the books I've been reading and the wonderful authors that have this material in their books. I'm like, I understand. And so when that bit came up, I was like, oh,
yes. And you messaged me. That's why I was like, Chatty is woke. She is aware. Do not touch a Black woman's hair. And as someone that has had that many times of being treated like I'm an object and not a person, that you're going to touch my hair because you are curious without asking permission, I was upset. I was like, oh, heck no. So that part was very, very just, they are not good people though. Yes, those schools, there we go. Yes. Yeah, I was just like, oh no, this is not gonna go down. Let me see. I might have wrote a note. Did I write a note about that? I write little notes. I wrote, I called her a dirt bather, and they said they hear though they smell like shit and ask her if her hair is even real. So that, yes.
Right there. She's right there in front of you.
Yes. But you know what? I appreciated that Dr. Nnedi Okorafor put that in the book because that is true to life in what I don't speak for all. I'm African American. I know there's a difference between African American. I'm going to just put it in the whole Black, BIPOC diaspora. I have known many of people that have had that issues in my community of people that look like me, and I've had it several times. I've had that with white people. I have also had that with Black people. And to me, with white people, I feel like there's no excuse. I feel like it's disrespect no matter what. However, I have encountered many white people that have never known up close a Black person. And so maybe I'm an opportunity for education. There's only so much education I'm going to give before I just get rude because it's disrespectful. But I don't like that when it's Black people because we go through the same things. We have the same hair texture and you know what you're doing. So I'm not going to take it as nice. But it's generally older people that, subjectify me thinking I'm younger. That's still no excuse. It's disrespect. But yes, I appreciated that true to life sparked that conversation. This little book sparks a lot of conversation. And I did appreciate that she added something like that in here, even though it made me upset. Amy's like, stop.
Got a reaction.
Exactly. Yep, pissed. Yep. So you know what I'm talking about. If you have dreadlocks, people can look at you like you're crazy. Yeah, and I appreciated the whole, let's get to hair. I appreciated she had dreads. That was awesome to me. I'm like, okay. And then I liked, even when the Meduse changed her dreads to a cocoa, if I'm even saying that right. Yeah. I appreciated that they still looked like dreads. So
they had the whole conversation, didn't they? Before there was a few conversations about hair. Like I really liked it when is he called Haru? Like the boy that she quite liked and was talking to before and he was saying your hair's coded. Like he recognized there was a code in her hair, and she was like, yeah, my family put the code in my hair. And I'm like, that is so cool.
That was cool too. Yes. I like the way your hair braided. I guess it denotes what your tribe or whatnot. So it is I think I might have wrote that down too. Hold up. Braid hair in the pattern of her tribe. Cool. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I got the hair references, you know. But yes, I thought that was just that was amazing. So
her friend Akowu, is that how the jellyfish?
Aqua, yeah.
Cool. Aqua said, "Oh, you have a koku." Like he called her dreads a koku, which was like his tentacles. Its tentacles.
Yes. And then when she puts the Otizi on it, then it all looks like dreads. Yeah. So I just appreciated that. Like, you don't normally see that in, I don't know. I've read mostly white authors my entire life. So I'm really enjoying in the last few months of like getting ingrained and sampling a lot of Black authors, and I've been seeing that a lot more of the idea of dreads, of a hairstyle that is, it's not uniquely to Black people, but you see more Black people with like dreads. Like that is part of African culture, part of African American culture, having braids and twisties and all the stuff that, you know, we normally do to adorn ourselves, which I love. And, you know, I haven't seen that much in my reading prior to reading Black authors. So I just appreciate that because I can visualize that where it's like, and relate that more to myself. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's part of what's great about diversity reading, of having someone other than just a white author, because you don't normally see that. Or if you do, it's not expressed well sometimes. So, but anyway, but yes, hair, definitely important. I thought it was great there. People use the age thing. Yes. Sometimes older people tend to disrespect younger people and not think about that when they're just going to touch their hair. I've just read a short story called Remote Control, which is this book right here. It was interesting. So I'm here to see if this is a series I would like. Remote Control was, sorry, I've got a shaky table here. Remote Control was very nice. A little bit more heady, I think, than Binti. And Binti is a 3-book series. I definitely think, though, you would enjoy Binti. I think it's a lot more tangible is the term I want to say. It's a lot more going on and a lot more action. I think you'll enjoy this. Okay, so let me get to
one more thing about the hair that just kind of struck me as we were literally talking about the name for the Medusa. So I was just suddenly like, oh my goodness, that sounds like Medusa. Snake hair lady.
Yes. I thought that too. Yes, especially once it was on her. Yeah, I thought. Well, let's talk about the Medusa. So I think the Medusa or Meadows. I think I say Medusa. The audiobook called the Meadows. So however you want to pronounce it.
I'm here for a Medusa kind of pronunciation.
Yes,
I think I'm calling Medusa. Yeah, I'm here for Medusa. Yeah.
But I felt that they were like jellyfish. What did you think?
Yeah, jellyfish, absolutely. Especially because at the beginning of the book, she's dedicated Binti to. I want to get the phrasing right. Come on, last page. Dedicated to the little blue jellyfish I saw swimming the Khalid Lagoon that sunny day in Sharjah, United Arab Emirates.
Oh, it does say that in the book. I didn't even read that. Yes, jellyfish. Yes. I want to go to the UAE. I want to go. I hear it's cool. Yes. Yeah, they definitely reminded me of jellyfish. And yes, all the tentacles and everything. And then they sting. I thought that was really cool.
And the sort of the coloring as well. They kind of talk about like the different kind of shades of the tentacles and all of that. So I was definitely Oku is blue in my head. Like
I'm just looking at the chats. So, Mayama, I am having my Nnedi Okorafor blog next week come out. I need to film it. So you will love that I read a few books by her. So stay tuned if you're interested.
How many have you read, Courtney? That's what I want to know.
Okay, well, I still have another book, but I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Yeah. Oh, and then I have Black Panther, so that'll be 8. Her books are short, so that's what's really good. So I was able to read. So I'm planning to do vlogs, like my channel, if y'all been keeping up. I want to do where I'm reading a few books by an author, like as a sampling. It won't always be Black authors. Right now it is, but just the author I've heard about. I want to read probably at least 3 or 4 of the books.
Yeah, I love
vlog. But I kind of went a little wild with her because it is Black. I was going to say Black Readathon. It is Black History Month, and I'm participating in a few different readathons. So I kind of, added a lot of books, but I made it fit those prompts. So that's why I have books. But like I said, look how short these things are. So I can get through some of them quicker than others. So that's why.
Courtney, at some point, we're going to have to read. I'm gonna bring you into the middle grade vibe. You're going to have to read Akata Witch.
I think I read, I plan to read Akinga, I think is a middle grade, right?
That's middle grade. Yeah. So
it was pretty good, but I need a little adultness in some of my books.
Well, I think Akata Witch, then it's a series, and then Akata Warrior is, I think it's YA. So right. it gets a bit older.
Okay. At some point we will.
Akata Witch was my first, and this is my second. So,
well, she is pretty good writing. I do enjoy her writing, and I did look up that she does children, and she also does adult books. So I do like that she has that range of a little bit for everybody, and also her science fiction in it is very understandable. It's not like super techy where you get lost in the sauce, and if you kind of skip over it to get past some of it, if you do have issues, you don't miss the actual premise of the book. So I really do like that. Let's see. Do you remember the hype that Bo Derek got for having braids? And oh my gosh. I can't. I referenced this. We're on hair. Black women love hair. I'm good for that. I don't belong about hair. Yes. Okay. To me, I am all for you do you. If you enjoy it, fine. But I do think that due to a lot of the racism that is in our culture and the systemic racism, I do have issues that a lot of cultures emulate Black culture, specifically when it comes to hair and nails and things like that. And Black women tend to get flack for it. Like it's unkept, it's quote unquote ghetto and too ethnic and stuff. But then when white people do it, then it's considered trendy and edgy. So I remember back in the day, people were saying Bo Derek. You remember the movie 10? You know what I'm talking about, Chatty?
No.
Oh, okay. Bo Derek.
I'm just happy for you. Go with it. It's like I nod and smile. Sure.
Well, Bo Derek is like older. I don't even know how old she is, but she's a actress way back in the day. Beautiful. She starred in some movie called 10, where she was basically this promiscuous wife or whatever. But anyway, she was on vacation, I guess, and had these braids in her hair. She's a blonde lady, white lady. Yeah. And they had like little beads.
And braids I've seen.
Yes. And it's generally something, braids aren't unique or the only, only in Black culture. But like I said, and generally you normally see on a daily consistent basis people in the Black community that wears it. So she had it in the movie. So people were talking about cultural appropriation, all these things. Right. And so she got some flack for that. And this was, oh my God, this was probably decades ago. Like, was that in the 90s or 80s? I can't even remember. But then you have I know you know the Kardashians, right?
Yeah, I did. And I'm really proud of myself because I got Kardashians from Kardash. So I'm like, yeah.
Oh, there you go. I call them the Kardashians, but to each his own. If that's your thing, they are definitely not mine. But you have to be hiding underneath a rock if you don't know who they are. So, okay. So Kim Kardashian went on the red carpet at some point and she had cornrows in her hair. And the media all of a sudden went wild about how she invented cornrows. That's what I heard about it, from what I specifically heard. It was the media saying she invented cornrows, how trendy they were, and how cool they are. And her sisters have had like the two braids, the two cornrow braids. I think it was Chloe, and people were ranting and raving. However, in the same breath, and I was saying the same week, I had a news outlet talk about how it was inappropriate that another Black person went to some small town awards ceremony with braids in their hair. So it's just, like I said, it's that kind of racism in society. And it's a fine line between cultural appropriation, I guess, because I'm okay with people embracing different things in different cultures. I eat with chopsticks in my kitchen because I like eating with chopsticks. Okay, I'm not appropriating.
You can invent them, though. Like, this is from China.
Yes, but the thing is, the media tends to portray and kind of pit, due to racism, people against each other, and I think it continues to fuel that issue. But the Kardashians tend to have an issue of capitalizing monetarily on Black culture. They're trying to get their dollars just like everybody else. I think they intentionally know what they're doing, like when they do the darker skin tone, with their tanning and stuff. But at the same time, media and everybody else that wants to continue the whole racism aspect feeds into it and allows that to continue. So that's a big issue. I hate to see it. It's like big butts, right? Are big butts a big thing in the UK?
I'm not the right person to ask. I'm kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. If it's not in the book, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, we went off on a tangent.
It's fine. I love a tangent. But I am aware that it was like, I think, like a decade, 20 years ago. I forget how old I am, but it was very much like skinny. Yeah. And then it was, the J-Lo bum. Was it J-Lo that kind of?
Well, see, and that's part of the whole thing, is that big butts have always been like a big thing. And not to say that's always been in Black culture, but we have, as a Black community, I will say, and even in Africa, overall, a nice curviness, if you want to call it that, has always been embraced. Like having a little weight on yourself, having some curve, having a big dunk, all that stuff. It's not bad. Like even in African culture, a lot of them, like in tribes and stuff, pad. Like when they have their ceremonies, they pad their hips. It means you're, childbearing hips. You ever heard of that?
So, I've heard of that one. I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it's not considered a bad thing to have a nice plump bottom. It's actually is very preferable. And that has been a thing in the Black community for years, but it's always been considered nasty, it's ghetto, all that stuff. And then people with lighter skin tones, J-Lo, some other folks started coming out with it. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, let's embrace it. Whereas people before have been having an issue. And it wasn't until, if I'm going to say anybody Black, like with a Black skin tone, I think it was maybe Beyonce when she became mainstream, when people embraced it on a Black person. Because when she was in Destiny's Child, I still heard people saying horrible things about, look at her ghetto butt. And I don't even think it's that big. But anyway.
You want to see a big butt? I'll show you a big butt.
Exactly. We can talk all day about that. We're talking about this book. I wanted to be here an hour. We're going to be here longer. Okay. A few days after Who Fears Death. Yes. And so Who Fears Death? I'm not reading this other book because I'm running out of time, but you have, here's Who Fears Death. And I actually found this Book of the Phoenix at the library. This is a sequel to Who Fears Death. Not a sequel, a prequel. Mm-hmm. However, based off the synopsis, it's not the same characters. It just might get you to how you got to this dystopian environment in here. I'm not sure, but if you're interested in seeing how it goes, it's this one, then this one. So just to put it out there. Oh my God, y'all, I'm talking about, we're going over, Daddy, I'm sorry. It's 11 years now.
it's Nnedi Okorafor, so it's like here's more of her work.
She is very amazing work. I enjoy it. I'm going to move on to another author after this month, but I definitely think I should come back and revisit her at some point. Very short. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Like how much was Binti was just like, I knew I was going to carry on and read Binti home, but I needed to just wait. I just wanted to like take that all in first and then move.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I saved Binti to closer to the time here, but I've enjoyed, I would say of all the books that I read thus far, Remote Control was probably my least favorite. It was kind of, confusing and a lot like very, oh my God, I need another desk. Very heady, but still excellent. Called them bar. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. They didn't even get the term right. Moteric dream sequence from a Clint Eastwood movie. Boba. Oh yeah, her body was banging, y'all. Yes. Aging myself. Hey, that's okay. I have myself too. We're reading at some point this year. That's good. Phoenix book. Yes. Yeah. I looked at the synopsis. I had already read Who Fears Death, which was pretty long. Like this book doesn't look, I'm a numbers person. It doesn't look like it's super thick, but this book is like 400 pages and it's a lot of small words.
Tiny writing.
It is 386 pages, but it was still good though. It's very good. But the Book of the Phoenix has a really good synopsis too. So definitely worth reading, I think. Hello, Betty. How you doing? hello. Okay, let's get back to this because we are we went on a tangent. See, Betty, you brought up hair. Black women in their hair. We've had
went from hair to bums. I love it.
Okay, so my question was, do you think that the Meduse are justified about why they despise humans?
I think it was very good to kind of see that window into their soul. And I think it was the fact that they've got a long journey together and they physically couldn't kill her. And, you could see that something kept drawing Okwu.
Yes.
Thank you. Okwu back to Binti. There was a curiosity there. There was a fascination there. And I think it was just very symbolic that we're just so much more inclined to like shoot first, ask questions later. Like the fear drives us more than the let's maybe get to know someone and find out where they're coming from. And because they had kind of the time to do that, and she started to understand what was happening, it just really helped them to kind of understand. And like she then got what motivated them. And I think it's one of those things, you don't know how you're going to feel. They've been at war with these people for so long. Like in their head, they are the victims and the other people are evil, and vice versa for the opposite. And like that's always just going to continue in this cycle. But Binti, as the master harmonizer, broke the cycle. So I think it's very much like you can see that where they're coming from. And obviously, as someone who's removed, as the omnipotent reader, we can be like, oh, no, well done, Binti, for doing that. But, if I was a little blue jellyfish, then I would probably be really pissed and be like, yes, what a brilliant kind of like Trojan horse plan to come and like get on board this spaceship and like sneak in.
Yes.
But at the same time, I was also thinking, the strength that Binti has, because she's just made friends for like the first time for like with all these people that kind of will get her in a different way. And like she said, she was just starting to fall in love. And then she watched the Medusa murder everyone she knew, and just suddenly, and they were going to kill her at any moment. So they wanted to kill her. And for her to like be able to like deal with that and kind of move past that was just amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was good for her to be able to not hold that grudge and actually become like essentially best friends to Okwu. But I thought it was interesting. Like I was trying to figure out if, okay, so the Meduse went aboard the ship and killed everybody because they were upset that their chief's tentacle was stolen from, or cut off and stolen from him, and is now on display like as a trophy at this prestigious university. So, but I didn't know if that initially started their, I mean, I guess they were warned before.
I think that's been going on. I think it's like so far back in history, like, you know, they've constantly been at war with each other.
Yeah.
My question was, how on earth did that happen in the first place? I mean, if someone got close enough to cut off his tentacle, why didn't they just kill him? Like, I don't know if we're going to know how that happened, but like, that was one thing that I'm like, how did that actually work logically? But the other thing I thought about, and I don't know if that's because like, I read a book previously about, what's it called? Basically, you know, it's something like the British have been doing like since beyond, you know, I think very high in the 1800s, basically going around loads of countries and like nicking their art, and it's now all on display at the British Museum. So it kind of made me think of that as well, like that stealing of things that are important to other people.
The British have a bad history of stealing things and like the whole colonization stuff. Just, yes. So that's not surprising. But yes, I kind of equated that to that in a way. And it's almost like I think the arm or the tentacle of having it on display just kind of pissed them off so much. But I also felt like this truce, like I appreciated that she helped serve as an ambassador. So I thought it was really strong of her as this young girl to put herself in that position. But I felt that it was just very much too easy that that truce was called by returning an arm and then giving an apology when you've been at war for centuries between these two different populations. And the fact that there was 2 more books, I was just like, you know what, war's coming back. I already know it, you know, without even reading the synopsis. But it was, you know, I thought that it was a nice gesture that they returned it so easily. That kind of gave me a YA aspect with the book, I will say. Yeah, we're going to return the arm and apologize, and we're good. And
see,
then
I was going to say, someone get Putin around the table for this. Come on, Binti, go and sort it all out.
But then Aku just got, okay, that leaves me. Aku just gets a free ride to this university that Binti and everybody else had to apply for.
Did you not think they're like hostage situation? Because like that was my kind of like, is it we're giving him, like, it sounds nice, but like under the surface, are we like, we are going to judge you on how your representative acts within our society.
Yes.
And we have them in our power. Yes. So like, I'm like, is Aku okay? Because I might feel like if you told me to go and live with that, go and study with a whole bunch of like blue jellyfish that are constantly under their stingers, I might be like, I'm not sure if I want to do this actually.
I think he's the token Medusa. That's what he was. I think he was the token guy, and you know, for that integration type thing, you know, and so this is a gesture of goodwill. Yeah. I just was thinking, what is so special about him? That I guess because him and Binti kind of had bonded a bit at that point. And so I think is the idea that this human girl has a connection with this particular one. So maybe she'll keep him, you know, in line, or keep it in line a little bit. But I just kept thinking like, dang, it must be nice to just get a free ride to this. I keep thinking of it as Harvard or Princeton.
All you have to do is like be on a ship that commits genocide and you get to go to the winner.
But he was a curious soul, I will say too, because, okay, so in the cafeteria after they committed the, you know, genocide of all the people, and I guess he touched her and got stung or something, and then when he saw her in her room and he saw that he got healed with her OTZ, he was like, what is that? Give me some, you know? And she was like, no,
give me your job.
So he was a curious soul. Like he said, give me some, and she said no, and she talked to him a little bit, and then he was like, what do you need? What do you require? So I think he had already started changing by that point too, that curiosity type thing when he realized that maybe we can benefit from this. So I think you definitely see a change with him as well. And they become, essentially best friends. So
Yeah.
I
But I
didn't
think
enjoy
there's also a similarity in their characters, that they're kind of willing
that.
to put themselves in, do something that's slightly risky and dangerous because they want to know more. And like there's that kind of slightly more rebellious side to both of them. So like I don't think it's ever said, but I definitely read Okuru as kind of like younger, like kind of that like older teen, kind of slightly hot-headed, slightly like ready to like not as calm and learned as the elders of its people.
Yeah, I got that same impression that Aqua was also young, and Binti's kind of that way too, because she gets put in her place a few times with her little hothead is like young girl, yeah. So I think they were very well matched. I think if he was not a jellyfish, I would consider her as far as like a love interest because I saw her with Hulu. Huh?
I said, hey, you never know. In species relations.
I wonder how that would work though, because he's basically a gas and she like, how would you kiss? Think about this. How would they kiss? Like she's always talking about getting
quite solid, aren't
they? Read on, but still, I thought it was interesting. Let's see, what else did I put?
I'm pretty sure some of the some books out there in the more of the erotic zone have kind of
this is Kindle Unlimited books. Let's see. So as far as let's see. I'm just looking at what my thing said here. So so you know how when she, I guess, passed out and then she woke up and the Medusa had genetically modified her. And now she has these tentacles. What would you, especially as important as like her Otizian and her hair and a symbol of her culture, like how would you feel waking up being like, oh no, I got some Medusa tentacles in my head instead of real hair?
Well, I kind of was like, well, I could be dead would be my logic. I mean, she's been kind of expecting to die since she watched everyone else die. She's like literally living by the skin of her teeth here. Like there's this little thing she doesn't even know how it works, but somehow it's keeping her alive because they're all scared of it. Like it has something that doesn't agree with them. And then she knew like she had to put it down, and like that physical difficulty to put it down, like it was almost like it was fused to her skin or something, like she had to like put it down. And then when they said about the stinger, I'm like, oh, she died? Like I don't and it took me a while to realize, oh, okay, so the stinger didn't do like a death sting, it did like a transformation sting or something. I don't think I completely fully understand it, but I'm rolling with it.
Sometimes you got to do that with Wi-Fi. I said Wi-Fi, sci-fi. Just roll with it, and eventually things make sense. That's what I do.
Maybe it'll make sense later on. We'll just keep going.
Let's see. And then let's see. Oh, and then for what do you think about her PTSD? So in the second one, you get into that, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's kind of definitely how I kind of felt about like, so the first one is very much like, this is the incident, like this is the like action point. But I'm always much more interested in kind of like the aftermath of how we deal with everything afterwards. So like the fact that now she's got to work out, she's just been running off adrenaline, to survive. And then suddenly she's like safe there and they can actually process what on earth went on. And I think that's why I feel I'm still only halfway through, but I think that's why I'm going to like Binti home even more than Binti, because we're really going to like get to spend time with the after effects and how she kind of manages that. And the fact that you're kind of best friends with the species that killed a load of people you liked, which is such a weird thing to get your head around. And I think she's being very sensible in that she's like, I'm not going to ask how many you killed or who you could have killed. And I think she did it really well. Like I really do enjoy looking at mental health in books. And again, I read a lot of fantasy. And I think like some of my favorite fantasies are the way that mental health is kind of represented, and it's done very subtly. I have read other fantasies where it's you've been beaten around the head. It's like, by the way, they had trauma. They are crying. They're being sick. And like the character's like, I keep thinking about this. I keep imagining this. Whereas with Binti, it's like, it's very subtle. Like, it's like, you can see the triggers and then you see what happens to her. And like, it makes sense. Her getting on like a shuttle could be triggering. And I love that you hear about the, she's had to go to therapy, and like that moment where they spoke about the woman who is her therapist like humming a song that she knew, and like she's just started crying, and that the therapist like just spoke to her about her home, but not like trying to make her relive the incident. I really liked that. I liked the nurturing of it.
I like that too, and I thought that it was very natural in how they allowed her to address that of going to therapy. And also I enjoyed how the book spoke about how her culture would have handled that. In that in her culture, you either speak with your family kind of in passing, or you just suck it up and don't ever talk to anybody. And the idea of getting help for any sort of mental illness, like professional help, is shunned. And in some communities, and I will say in the Black community, I think things have changed a lot, but historically in the Black community, seeking professional health for any sort of mental trauma has been taboo. And I like that this book allowed her the opportunity to be able to do that, because her technology, even though she tries to treat herself and meditate, it does not always work. And you do see that, I will say, later in the series. That's not necessarily a spoiler, but you see that professional help does come in handy a little bit more to help her. And I don't think she would have had a better coping mechanism had she not going to therapy. So I thought that was very good, that mental health. I'm telling you, this book had so much, like this series in general had so much that was just so relevant to things that are going on today. And yes, Amy, I agree. I thought it was very well represented. And I like that it was not utilized at just this one small plot point just to hit it home, just to include it and be done with it. It was kind of systemic throughout the book, and part of the plots that it kept coming up. Because you know how sometimes people use things as like a plot device just to say, I'm gonna put this in here and that's it. You know, it kept coming up. And so I thought that was really good. It was handled very, very well. Yes.
It just felt very truthful. It just felt like it. I don't know. I don't quite know how to describe it, but it's, you know, when a book is good, when everything just feels very like natural and like your characters are living and breathing, and of course that's, you know, going to happen to them, and like there's lots of dimensions to it, and like it will rear its head and then sort of disappear while something else happens and it comes back again. Just like, you know, it's not going to be like, here's the therapist, chat to them, you're cured. It doesn't work like that. There's like so many things, and it's something you constantly do. Like you're constantly like evaluating yourself and reflecting on yourself, and it just felt, it just felt great.
And I appreciate that. Like you just said, it wasn't like, oh, you're cured. I went there for one session and I'm done. Yes, I agree. I enjoyed that a lot. Yep. And yes, thank you very much. That was my next thing on the the connection with nature, because I consider animals part of nature. I loved the ship, the Miri 12 or something. The animal ship. Huh?
The third fish.
That's what it's called. Yeah. Is it called Miri, or I don't know, whatever. But yes, it was awesome, wasn't it? And I liked the idea that you had this animal, which at first I was like, am I reading this right? So that was really cool. But then I also liked that you had all of this plant life inside of it. So it's almost like, you know how when animals tend to eat plant life and, you know, you digest it. Well, in this case, you had all this plant life living inside of this animal and helping to sustain it and creating a livable environment with oxygen and everything. I just thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I got it until the second book.
Yeah.
Until it was literally spelled out. It's like, your ship's a fish. Oh, and it's pregnant. I was like, hold on, what now? I was like, okay, let me just mentally adjust everything I was visualizing before.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. And then did you get to the part with the baby fish that it was,
so
was pregnant?
I loved it. So
I'm trying not to spoil in case that was you didn't get to that part. Okay.
For people who haven't read Binti Home and don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to hold this book up. When I put it down, I've stopped talking about Binti Home that could potentially be not that spoilery, but maybe. I don't know.
This is a spoiler. Just talk. This is a live show is a spoiler. So spoil away.
I want to make sure because we just said Binti. We didn't say Binti Home. I just want to make sure people have the opportunity to not be spoiled right now. Book them down. I finished. So she's got to. So we did the whole thing. Like she left the ship, which was highly stressful and traumatic anyway. And then she's kind of said goodbye to it, and it's like I hope everything goes well with like your baby and its birth. And then you had the whole airport almost shootout, which was highly terrifying. And then she's gone back to her family home and she's had the nice welcoming, and we're like, oh, this is very lovely. And then the gloves come off and the real stuff comes out, and Vera starts going, well, actually, Binti, I've read that bit. And then she's sad. She's going to go on her pilgrimage, and then she sees the stuff in the garden, like the masquerade.
Yeah.
And then that's where I had to stop and get coffee, because I was like, I really want to read it, but I'm starting to do this. So I don't know about birthed baby ship yet. So that's as far as I've got.
Well, no, it's not necessarily a birth. I was just referring to the fact that when she got onto the ship, they had said that she was pregnant, and like Amy said, that they had to create a space because I guess the ship was pregnant, and so they had to recompose.
Inside move.
Yeah, exactly. It's renovation. So I just thought that was just unique. I've never seen that inside of a book before. So
I just can't imagining like her room was like slightly tilted and squashed because there's now this baby kind of like growing in there.
Exactly.
Very much having had a baby inside, like you very much do feel like squished and like having to eat small bits of food because there's not enough room. I was like, I love this. This makes total sense. Yes. Okay. Spoilers. Book's going down. But anyone who didn't want spoilers, we've finished for now. Unless Courtney has more.
No, you're good. I'm just looking at my. I'm just looking at some of my notes here so we can make sure. Oh yeah, okay. So
you, Courtney. So how much did you know about Binti going in? Like, what were your expectations of what this was going to be?
I mean, I just thought that it was going to be about this brave girl. Like I knew she, was from this African tribe that was very sheltered, and she went to this university in the stars, and she was somehow going to change the world. Like I just thought it was going to be kind of a, some dramatic type thing where she helps, race relations, if you will, like as an ambassador. But I didn't know how that would go about. I'm one of those people to where if somebody recommends a book, I'll read the synopsis and kind of put it to the side so that I can forget by the time I read it, or I'll read half a synopsis, be like, oh, it's good, and go. Because I don't want to know too much about it. I just need enough to intrigue me. But
I don't read the synopsis at all. I'm just like, tell me the themes and then I'll read it.
Yes. But, they said it's a space opera. I haven't read too many of those. Mm-hmm. And I heard that Nnedi Okorafor has like amazing writers. So I'm like, you know what? I'm added to the mix, and I figured, it's a short book. I figured if I don't like it, I can just leave it at that, because the first book is, like 89 pages, 90 pages. So that's not, that's a day. So I figured if I didn't like it, but I mean, look at that cover, like, I just was like, this is gonna be good. So I didn't know too much about it. I'm very happy that I read it. I think that it's an amazing book with some really good themes, and it's entertaining. It's violent, but it's not too gory.
It's not It's not gratuitous. Like it happens for a reason.
Yes. Let me see. I have a note. What do I have? I loved how towards the end, okay, so Binti has brokered this temporary, if you will, peace deal between, I guess it's the Kush, because they are part of Uzma Uni, but I didn't really know if that's why I said she's brokered a deal between Uzma and the Meduse. But how much does the Uzma way out in the universe represent the Kush on Earth? So that's why I was thinking this deal probably gonna implode in somebody's face. But I really liked how the chief of the Meduse said, told Binti, "You will forever hold the highest honor among the Meduse. My destiny is stronger for leading for me to you." I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I think that was one of the things for me. Like it is very much like an optimistic story. But I think the reason why she was able to kind of broker that treaty was because she was dealing with two people that didn't want people to die. And I think that was the key thing there. Like their pride was not bigger than their protection for their people.
Yes.
And I think like the chief definitely was coming from a place where we are probably all going to die, but our cause is just because we don't want to be treated this way. But if there is a way to reach a compromise, hey, MJ, then that is, if there's another option, then it's good to listen.
Yes.
And fortunately, the people at the university, I mean, bless Binti, because she was very much there going, right, they've heard it. Surely it's now going to be fun. Go and get the tentacle so nobody dies. And they're like, why are they arguing over this? So like there were definitely some people that were like, I don't want to be pushed around by a jellyfish. But luckily enough people were like, let's not let anyone die. Let's, be reasonable, civilized people and compromise.
I think part of that, I think their optimism, right? Okay, for one, you have a bigger Kush population than, actually, you know what? I just thought about it. I'm reeling in more from the third book, but Uzma University is very much a melting pot. So people get along, right? That's why I like diversity. Diversity shows people can get along. Okay. You don't really know if people get along or if they really like other people or can be peacekeepers unless you test it, right? I think Uzma is very much a test environment with a bunch of different people, races of people and animals, or whatever you want to call it, right? And then you have the Meduse, which I guess did they have a home planet, or they're just out in the...
They do mention a planet, like they mentioned that their planet like didn't have any water, or they mention a planet, but I think like they've kind of like immigrated from their planet onto like being out in space was kind of the impression I got. They're like planet hoppers.
Yes. So that's kind of where I was going with that, in that you have the Meduse, let's say overall, because they operate as like a collective, right? Yeah, each of their subconscious is built into the chief. So you can kind of think of them as all being right there at that brokerage deal. And then you have Uzma, which is way out in the universe. So they're kind of like their own little planet, right? There's investment because they can just blow each other up right there. So there's investment with them to work it out because they're like smaller entities of this bigger Earth entity, which is where most of the Kush are. So Uzma speaking for the Kush down on Earth, that doesn't work because they're doing their own thing. And so that's why I was like, this deal is just not going to work because you're not speaking for the overall collective that said, yes, we're okay with peace with the Meduse.
Yeah.
They're not speaking for them. They're speaking for Uzma. And Uzma very much needs, because they can just blow them up. They're like a spaceship if you want to look at it. So I don't know. I just felt that
I think like it feels like everyone in that room, like if we start fighting, we are most likely going to die. So it's in our interest to not start fighting.
Let's see. I was going to tell you one thing. Hold up. What is it? Oh, okay. I was just looking at random notes here so we can clear up here. So I did like the queer representation of, I forgot the person's name, her friend when she was going to the ship.
Heifer?
I did. All the characters, I will say I did have an issue because remember before we were talking about like certain people being like a prop, if you will. I felt that was very much a add in a queer rep, although Aqua is a queer rep if you want. I mean, it's a jellyfish, but you can kind of add in the they. I'm not woke on everything, y'all. Okay, so no offense. Isn't non-binary they, right? So
there's different pronoun. Again, anyone in the chat, feel free to chip in. There's different pronouns for non-binary. The most common use is they, them.
Okay.
I do not know any non-binary who like an it as a pronoun.
Okay, okay. So I won't put Aqua as that. Yeah. Thank you. See, that is why we're here. Thank you for clarifying, because I was sitting there trying to hesitate to say Aqua is a they. So, okay, so it's an it. But Haifa, you said that other character is a queer representation, and that was one person.
Haifa. H-A-I-F-A.
Okay, so you have that person, I think, is your queer rep thus far in my head in the book, and it was a person that was born a boy that genetically modified somehow, they didn't say, into a girl, but I did not like and but I felt like that character was just doing too much. Like that one was very much kind of trying to be like the alpha male, like let me hold the bag and then doing flips. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, you have some people in the, not even just queer community. Some people are just extra and flamboyant, period. But, a lot of things are associated with like gay men, right? People think like in stereotypes of flamboyancy and stuff. I just felt like this character was just doing too much. And is that because this is a queer character about why so much was done in a short amount of time, mind you?
She did a lot for the amount of time she was on those pages.
Yes.
There was that kind of linking, like talking about like Binti is obviously, she's about to go home and see her family, and she has a definite physical change. She's still very much the same person, but like there has been a change that's been brought about. So there was that kind of link in with Haifa, because then Haifa obviously talks about her physical change, but she is the same person she's always been. So that was that link. And I presume just the character's just a bit extra and like screwing.
I got that link of the change with that. And, I just was thinking that the character, for what it is, I just felt was like, is this some sort of stereotype? Yes. But I thought that character was fun. And the character does come back in book 3 a bit. So just to get there. But it was fun character. I like that
Binti had like a friend in her corner because she's got a lot going on. She needs that. She needs all the friends she can get hold of.
I did think that she assimilated well, just overall from Binti's transformation. She came to the university. When she even left, she left as basically this, let's say, traitor to her community. Her family said basically that she ran away, which I wouldn't say she ran away. She was going towards something. They just did not understand that. Yes. And then she, brokers this treaty of peace. And then she goes back home. And then, of course, there's going to be some other growth. But she leaves at just a Himba. And then she comes back and she's part Medus and part Himba. So I just think there's growth. And then she's learned a lot at Uzma University as well. Still trying to figure out what her destiny is. But I think that she's definitely had a great change. And I think that she definitely has some, more stuff coming up too. So
And I think that is something, again, that's like Nnedi Okorafor just showing us, you know, that this is sci-fi, but we can relate so much to it. Like that whole, you've been away at uni, there's all this stuff going on, you're meeting all these different people, you feel you've definitely grown, then you come back to your family and you sort of still want it to sort of be the same, but you acknowledge that you are a slightly different person now because of your experiences. And then you want them, it's that kind of weird thing. It's like, you don't want to be different, but you are different, but you also want to be acknowledged that you have grown. So it's that kind of weird, what's that word? Where you kind of like, words just fail me sometimes. Contradiction. You're kind of like a contradiction, because it's like, please notice I've grown and changed, but don't. I want to also for you to think I'm the same as who I am. Like, I felt that was very relatable when she was back home.
And yes, and I think that's kind of one of her things. I think she went through so much, you know, in the first book and going to Uzma and stuff. I think she needed to kind of ground herself and remind herself of her culture. And that's one of the things that, you know, because she'd already, like, she's not even just plain Himba anymore. She's part Meadows. So I think going back home to remind her of her culture and go on this pilgrimage that, you know, she never really made it on. I think that, you know, that kind of helped ground her a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I did like, though, I have a quote that I wrote down a few quotes that I liked. I loved in the beginning, before those lady pissed me off, in the beginning with the hair thing, that the guy at the ticket counter, I don't know what he was, because she said that he was, I guess, brown like her, but he wasn't. So he wasn't a Kush, but he wasn't from her tribe. Right. I think he said, "You are the pride of your people." The ticket taker. I thought that was really beautiful when he said that, because she's going to the university. So that's somebody that recognizes that she is made for greatness and that, you know, she has a place somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I thought that was beautiful.
He needed that, because it's so hard. Like, it's such a big thing to do. But to know that no one is supporting your decision, and everyone that you love is going to see it as a betrayal. To hear from someone that you are actually, you're not a traitor to your kind, you're actually the pride of your people. It's so heartening, isn't it?
Yeah, and then she left, and I wrote that here. Yeah, she left, and she was kind of like an object to all these other people. Like you saw, you know, we talk about the ladies at the beginning. So she left, and she was kind of like this experiment, if you will, at Uzma, because none of her people have been there. But she leaves, and she's kind of like this object to watch. Let's see what happens with her, right? And then she comes back, and she's essentially a celebrity to everybody but her people.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, heck no. Y'all not getting no more of my technology. Okay, I'm just looking at other stuff. Okay, that's the other book. So okay. So Amy, yes. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here, y'all. So Amy says she wished there's a fourth book. So she was probably not here for what you said earlier about the other one.
So it falls in between Binti and Binti Home, but there is Binti Sacred Fire in this bind up.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know if you typed that in just in general of You'll Get Up, because I didn't. I had the individual. I did the second book via audio, the home, but I just got these books and I didn't see anything about Second Fire. Nothing ever came up. So you probably just need to get the bind up if you're interested.
So, when I was working out because I saw that Olivia had this copy, because that's where Binti came into my life. And I was like, oh, do I want it in a bind up, or do I want it individually? And I was like researching it all. And I was like, Sacred Fire is only in the bind up. So I need the bind up, because obviously I want the extra story.
Yes, there you go.
So yeah.
Hello, Nell. Thank you for coming by. We're about to, I don't know when she put this comment in here. Let's see. 7:08. Oh, that was a little while ago. Okay. Well, we're about to get out of here. Thank you for coming by. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything about anything in the books? Remember, we're only discussing the first book and halfway through the second. I think that was the purpose of the character. I think you're talking about the queer rep. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't read the books, but I came to support, like, and comment, not staying because I want to read. Yes. Oh, come back once you read the books. Yes, they're amazing books. It was really good. I overall enjoy Nnedi Okorafor's writing and content. And so last month I did an Octavia Butler vlog where I, read a few books by her. As much as I enjoyed Octavia Butler, I think I'm enjoying Nnedi Okorafor more. But I'm not pitting them against each other. I know that's good. They're both really good. No fights here. Thank you, Amy. But I want to know what happened to Binti's.
Oh, sorry.
Keep reading. Yep.
Harassing Dr. Nnedi Okorafor. Like, more Binti.
That is true. Yeah, it does lead off. Yeah. You don't get all the I'm not gonna spoil it. But it was an amazing series. I love the name Binti too. I'm like, hey, Binti. I just think of a little bitty kid, but yeah, it was a good series. I really did enjoy it, and it goes quickly. Like, if you put how many pages is your book total?
Total, wow, 356.
Oh, see, that's nothing. That's I mean, it's something.
That's a novel. That's a novel.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not that bad. I do like the individual books, but yes, I think
it's like normal size books. So like it's a bit bigger.
Yes.
There we go. So we've got, it's a little bit on the bigger side.
I mean, but this is BookTube. You have people, not me, but you have people reading 600-700 pages books. So this is nothing.
With your book. It's gonna have you on epic fantasy soon, Courtney. It's gonna happen.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming for the discussion. We got to see some other books that we can all talk about too. Very, very interesting. Oh, there you go. Pretty book.
You got the extra story.
We ought to put that on the front and this on the back. I would love if I collected books.
Tell me the word again so I can say it properly, Courtney.
Say it again.
What's the soil?
Oteezy?
Oteezy, thank you. Oteezy. I mean,
you can put it however you want, but I say Oteezy.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Better. I think it sounds better than Ujitsu, which is, I think it's probably because my kids watch a load of Ninjago, so like it's Jitsu everything. I like Oteezy.
That was one of my favorite things, just how she kept applying that throughout the book.
Yeah, Nicole has got the book.
Yeah. And when you get to the third book, you're going to have to message me on Discord so we can talk about it.
I'm still going to be chatting to you. Like, you're going to hear all my thoughts as I start going. I mean, the way that I've left the second book, I'm like, we're going to finish this and I'm going to keep reading and like fall asleep. I'm going to be like this, I'm going to wake up and finally
Well, there's no disappointments, I will say. You know how sometimes I have an issue with sequels because I feel like, for one, there's so many books I want to get to. But also, I feel like sometimes sequels and subsequent books just disappoint. It's like movies. Nothing's better than the first. I felt like all of these books, I don't like to talk as much about like numbers on like star ratings on my channel because I do reviews for that. On my channel, I just prefer to talk about books. But I would give all of these 5 stars. Most of the time, I downgrade a star or something somewhere in the series on the off chance I do. But I thought
5, and then you slowly take them away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this disappoint. But if you keep it small, I mean, you're good. So
I think it's so impressive, actually, because I do read a lot of big books, and I love like the world building and the layerings and the characters and the payoff. So for this, I think it's so impressive when you have a small story that does so much. And like immediately, like you have that connection to the protagonist. I mean, literally, I was with her like when she's trying to get her suitcase to hover so she can like get the heck out of there before her family wake up. And I'm like, you have me already. I'm on your side. I'm rooting for you. And then like all the layerings of everything that happened in the culture and the world, I'm like, this is a teeny tiny book. So yeah, impressive.
I agree. And the fish thing, I was like, what the world? Yes. I think one of my favorite things with this is just that whole connection with nature and all the different ways you connect with nature. Like when some people like the math and all that stuff, Yeah, that wasn't my favorite part, I will say, but I just feel like just overall, I just love that connection with nature and the different aspects
Yeah.
that just appeal to me. And the Otizi, that's gonna just stick with me.
The
But that's
Otizi,
part of that connection with nature and with her culture too. So, and we are contributing to Nicole spending money, but that's okay. What book are you going to do next?
Ooh, good question.
Well, I am. Oh, hold up, right here. If I don't fall out of my chair.
The chair is tipping.
I need to do this. I need to get my Nnedi Okorafor stuff done because I got some other books on the for these readathons. But this will be next. I'm gonna go hang with a friend now, I think, if she's still awake. But yeah, I'm gonna do this Black Panther by. I guess there's so many different authors that did a Black Panther comic, if you will. It's a graphic novel here.
You could do a Black Panther comparison. Like, who did it best?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm invested in that. Yeah. But yeah, but this one's Nnedi Okorafor is on that one. So I'm gonna see what she did with it and see what happens. I don't think it's multiple. I think all of them just did like singles. I could be wrong. So we'll see, but I haven't picked it up yet. But this is what I'll be reading. I don't know. We'll see if I read tomorrow. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl, so we'll see what happens.
I will root for the Eagles because of you.
Thank you. I hope we win because the Philadelphia can get pretty nuts when things go good and go bad, but it's worse when things go bad. And I want people to survive. So I hope we win tomorrow. My husband's a fan. And he will be screaming if they don't win. So I want to have.
So what you're saying is you need a gun for your own protection.
Exactly. Okay, let's get out of here. Well, I thank all of y'all for coming. This has been a fun discussion. I appreciate everyone in the chats, and I also appreciate you, Chatty, for contacting me in the first place for us to read this book together. I hope it's not the only one we ever do.
No, I'm so excited to be with you at the same time in the flesh. This is really. I'm usually in the chat going, "Hi." It's so much fun to be talking to you.
It is fun. I agree.
Thanks so much for having me.
Reading. Oh, I'm bringing my book to the Super Bowl. Believe you me, because I am not much on sports, but I'm hosting at my house, so I'm going to provide food and hopefully sit in a corner and read. But generally, my mother-in-law does not want me to do that. So, dedicating each month to a particular author. Ooh, I have not decided yet. That's kind of my plan. I mean, it depends because there's other books around particular authors I want to read, but my plan right now is each month to do a certain author. Who that is, I don't know.
Well, maybe
I'll do multiple in a month.
For Courtney, what author do you want her to do next?
Oh no, I don't want to do that. I like to have freedom of it. I don't mind it too hard, but I like to make it.
Just suggestions. Have you heard of this author?
Oh yeah, you can have some suggestions. I'm good for that.
Recommendations. There you go. Do recommend authors for Courtney to.
There you go. Feel free to message me any authors y'all have. But yeah, as long as I like sci-fi, horror, paranormal, sci-fi, I said that, fantasy. I love fantasy, but I'm trying to do something that's kind of different. I've read a lot of romance in my life or heartwarming reads. I don't want to do that unless there's some fantastical, magical component to it that makes it different than normal everyday life, So that's my thing. All right, now, we're about to go, y'all. $12. Oh, that's not bad at all. Wow, that's a good deal. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Okay, y'all, say bye. Good night. Oh, thank you for coming by. Much appreciated. Oh, I have Tuesday sprints at 11 a.m. If y'all are available, feel free to come by. I think that's the next time I have something going on, but you never know what may pop up. Chatty, do you have any videos or anything coming up?
There'll be videos.
Okay.
I'm going to try and do a schedule. I don't have a schedule. It's just when they get done.
Okay, I am going to link her in the description part of this video. So make sure y'all go by and subscribe and check out her content as well. your jar of author names and pick one at random. Ah, that could be.
Ooh, yes, I like it.
That's I think for the next few months, I'm going to concentrate on authors that, we have heard of, because I keep hearing people talking about, oh, this author's great. But eventually what I want to do is choose some lesser known authors that we might not have heard of, because, YouTube's a nice platform. I'm blessed that a few people actually go by my channel and take a look. So you never know. You may want to discover somebody new.
Indie author.
There you go. Bye, Pat. Bye, Mayama. Bye, bye, bye. Yeah, there you go. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all for coming so much. Much appreciated. Oh, this is ending here.